My aim is to discuss resurrection on the day of final judgment. In part 1 of the series, I talked about soul. In this video, I will discuss about DNA, and in part 3, I will talk about resurrection. This is a video about DNA. DNA double helix is mentioned in Quran in many verses, but the name is different. Quran called DNA double helix in a different name, so it is difficult to relate. In this video, I will just relate the verses so that one can understand how Allah created different form of life. Part 2 of 3, DNA. All creatures from amoeba to blue whale or from bacteria to maple tree are created with DNA double helix. All amoeba from amoeba to human are created with DNA double helix. This is the picture of a DNA double helix. It is same for all creatures, plant, animal, big or small. DNA double helix is the program of life. That is all life form. It contains a huge program. It can be wisely called the noble pair. The noble pair. In the Quran, it is called noble pair. It is a verse of the Quran, and he scattered through it beasts of all kinds. That includes amoeba to elephant, everything, the plants and all creatures. We send out rain from the sky, all from noble pair. Min kulle jauzin kareem, all from noble pairs. This noble pair is actually DNA double helix. If somebody think that these are married couples, then question will automatically come. If it is married couples, then how amoeba is created with this pair? The amoeba do not have any male-female pair. Amoeba divides. There are many other single cell creatures in the earth that doesn't have male-female pair. They multiply. So, if the verse is telling that all creatures are created with noble pair, then it should be DNA double helix. Only with DNA double helix a living creature can be created. It is not the only verse in the Quran. There is another verse talking about the same noble pair. However, above verse is normally translated in deviated form, because in common sense understanding it doesn't give any meaning if it is translated word to word. So it is translated in deviated form. It is translated as, and he scattered through it beasts of all kinds. We send down rain from the sky and produce on the earth every kind of noble creatures in pair. It is deviated translation. My translation is direct word to word translation. This is word to word translation. And he scattered through it beasts of all kind. We send down rain from the sky, all from noble pair. Min kulle jauzin kareem. The another verse talking about the same noble pair is this one. Do they not look at the earth, how many we produced in it, all from noble pair. Min kulle jauzin kareem. So this noble pair is this DNA double helix. A 6 feet long DNA double helix remained coiled in a macroscopic chromatid inside the nucleus of a cell. The coiling of DNA around histosine or with histosine makes nucleosomes. Further coiling makes solenoids, and further coiling makes chromatids, and two chromatids makes a chromosome, and chromosomes remain in the nucleus of a cell, a genome. So there are, in human cell there are 46 DNA double helix, 46 chromatid, or 23 pairs of chromosome. If the programs it contains were written in books, the stack of book would be bigger than Himalaya mountain. Such a huge program is contained in DNA double helix. A DNA molecule is a long polymer of nucleotides. This is the image of a nucleotide. It has got sugar phosphate base. It works as support, and there are cytosine or nitrogenous bases with which the DNA double helix is created. These are nucleotides available in the cytoplasm. This is a DNA double helix. A series of nucleotides makes a double helix. So it is a polymer. It's a molecule but polymer.
Then what DNA is and how it works to better understand how information is used in the cell. Deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, is a long polymer of nucleotides, each nucleotide being a deoxyribose sugar molecule, one phosphate group, and one base. Nucleotides are joined together to form the DNA backbone. A second DNA strand then joins the first to form a double helix. You may recognize the code letters A, C, G, and T, which are the four bases used in DNA. These bases are adenine, A, cytosine, C, guanine, G, and thymine, T. Like the code in Mr. Gates' software, the sequence of the four bases encodes genetic instructions used in the development and functioning of all known living organisms. Once organized, this information is what makes up the gene, and genes, as we all know, contain the recipes for the components of life. Genes hold all the information to build and maintain an organism's cells, and they also pass genetic traits to offspring. Human DNA contains an estimated 20 to 25,000 genes in its approximately 3 billion base pairs. And did you know that if the DNA in an adult human's body were laid out end to end, it would be about 30 billion miles long? That's enough to travel the distance from the Earth to the Sun over 320 times. A gene contains both coding sequences that determine what the gene does and non-coding sequences that determine when the gene is active, as well as thousands of other regulatory functions. Less than 2% of the genome is for coding proteins. The other 98%, which used to be thought of as junk DNA, is now being studied to determine its functionality.
DNA is the program of life. From single cell zygote, it produces a human baby with 100 trillion cells. It produces bone cell in the bone, nerve cell in the nerve. If the programs of genome expressions were written in books, the stack of book would be 500 times higher than the moon. Genes are basic units of genetics. Human being has about 23,000 genes. However, it accounts for 2 to 3% of DNA. The function of other 97 to 98% is not clear and known as junk DNA. Over 250 types of cells make our body. Every type of cell has specific programs needed to function. All evolved from this DNA genome code, same genome code. DNA produces proteins. With only about 20 types of amino acids, the DNA can produce over 1000 types of proteins needed for a body. It can produce over 2000 types of enzymes.
Examine how proteins are created.
This animation demonstrates how the digital information encoded within DNA is used to direct protein synthesis. This is a DNA double helix containing the digital code which directs the cell in all aspects of operation. And here we see a protein complex called an RNA polymerase traveling down the DNA strand. As it moves down the strand, it carefully unwinds the DNA, preparing it for transcription. Inside the polymerase, we see a single-stranded copy of the original instructions being assembled as individual bases are positioned and added to the growing strand. A stop code marks the end of the protein specification, at which point this copy, known as a messenger RNA transcript, exits the polymerase and heads towards a two-part chemical manufacturing machine called the ribosome. While the messenger RNA moves towards the ribosome, transfer RNA molecules attach to specific amino acids in preparation for assembly. As the messenger RNA transcript passes through the ribosome, the process of translation begins. Using the instructions encoded on the messenger RNA as a template, the transfer RNA molecules align specific sequences of bases to corresponding amino acids, creating a protein chain. As this chain exits the ribosome, it is met by chaperones which prevent premature folding, while escorting the protein to a barrel-shaped machine called a chaperonin. This machine helps fold the protein into the precise shape required to perform its function. Although it is unclear how the chaperonin achieves this, we do know that accurate folding is essential in order for the protein to accomplish its intended function. Once the protein is complete, it is released into the cytoplasm to do its job.
As you can see, protein synthesis.
Protein enzymes, ATPs, are produced by DNA, genes. Produced by genes. Genes are small segments of DNA strand. These small segment is each gene is a code of a particular product. DNA not only produce these protein and enzymes and other energy capsules, it replicates and divides the nucleus. Once the nucleus is divided, the cell is ultimately divided. It produces identical cell, or it sometimes it produces reproductive cell. Reproductive cell with haploid chromosome. These DNA strands. So in the process of replication, these DNA strands gets isolated. Again, after new formation, they get joined. They remain joined with weak hydrogen. For this reason, it doesn't get harmed. The hydrogen work like attractive power. It doesn't work like glue. If it would work like glue, then nucleotides would be harmed while it would get segregated. So it is as it remains joined with weak hydrogen, it is attractive pair. It can join, at the same time it can get isolated. So in the Quran, these pairs are also called attractive pairs. This is DNA replication. In the process, the process is needed for the formation of body cells, identical cells, and it is said in the Quran as attractive pair. And the earth, we have spread it out and set there on mountains standing firm, and grown there in every kind, from attractive pairs, Jaujin Bahis, attractive pair. The creator of the skies and lands, he has made for you pairs, this Jaujin Bahis, attractive pairs, from among yourselves, man and woman, pairs from among yourself, man and woman, and pairs among cattle. But the verse is not talking about married couples, because cattle do not have married couple, or they do not make pairs. By this means does he multiply you. There is nothing whatever like unto him, and he is one that hears and sees. So these verses talk about two main other job of DNA double helix. One is producing identical pairs, one is producing reproductive cells, reproductive sperm and ovum, etc. So these in the Quran it is called attractive pair as well.
We can see there are many different genomes in existence, creating very unique and incredible organisms. If it seems like your body is constantly working hard, it is. Living organisms continually produce new cells through a process called cell replication throughout their entire lives. And here's how it works. First, we start with our DNA double helix. Helicases are molecular motors that use the chemical energy of ATP to break hydrogen bonds between bases and unwind the DNA double helix into single strands. This process is used for both replication and repair of the strands. If unwound, a single DNA strand would be about 6 feet in length. And yet, it fits into a cell which can't even be seen with the human eye. Remarkably, these strands are kept from tangling as they are separated and duplicated. Next, these strands are copied by enzyme-based computers, creating an exact replica of each original strand. Over 30 different proteins are required for duplication and repackaging of cellular components during cell division. It's from this tiny, masterfully complex cell that life is formed. All living organisms begin with one cell. As cell division takes place, we see multicellular organisms take form. When we stop to think about our own body having approximately 100 trillion cells, each group having a unique purpose, such as epidermis, the lungs, heart, skeletal structure, muscles, nervous system, digestive system, reproductive system, immune system, and the brain all working simultaneously to form this magnificent machine we call the human body, we begin to have an appreciation for the complexity, elegance, and beauty of life. And as we look around us at the millions of plant and animal species, it becomes incredibly breathtaking to ponder how much information and organization must take place for all of this life to exist. Derived from a single cell, the zygote. And what marvels me is, from this single cell, we get 250 distinct cell types, each of which has a very, very unique program. All of the cells, with a couple of exceptions, have a nucleus and have a genome, and that genome is the same across all the cells. So when we begin to think about the complexity of the genome, I think that's amazingly complex, how we go from a single cell to unique cells that have very specific programs of gene expression that are necessary for that unique cell to function. But we're only beginning to understand the information in our genome that directs those unique programs of gene expression.
That has created pairs in all things, and has made for you sheep and cattle on which you ride. In old times, sheep used to be made from wood. In above verse, plants and cattle are mentioned together to mean that plants to produce wood suitable for making ocean-going ships and cattle are produced from the same DNA double helix. Plants and animals have same DNA double helix. It differs in codes only. One code makes a plant and another code makes a horse.
Chemically, the DNA in the cells of my body is the same as that in a fruit fly, an orange, a hippo, an elephant. It's all the same chemically. The uniqueness to all of those species of living things lays in the information content of the DNA. So while the chemistry may be the same, the actual information that's embedded in that chemistry is very, very different.
Glory to God who created all things that the earth produces, as well as their own kind, and things of which they have no knowledge, from pairs, that is DNA double helix. Which pair on earth can produce all life form on the earth? It is DNA double helix only. So, by the words pairs, the Quran means DNA double helix. And it is He who spread out the land and set thereon mountains standing firm and rivers. And of the all fruits He made in it pairs too. These pairs too are two sets of DNA double helix. It comes abruptly in the sentence, in the verse. This pairs to a double pollination is unique in the production of fruits. After the pollen grain sticks to the stigma of the pistil, at one stage a haploid cell divides into two haploid sperm cells. One sperm fertilizes the egg cell and produces a zygote. Zygote develops to embryo. It is like all other animal. Another sperm cell fuses with two cell nuclei and produces a triploid cell. The triploid cell develops into endosperm, which serves as food supply of the embryo. Thus, the fruit is produced. The process is unique in producing fruits. And in the Quran, it talks about pairs too in case of fruits only. It doesn't mean that apples have male, there are male apple and female apple, there are male banana and female banana. It is a very technical term used in this verse for the people of end times. Do they not look at the earth, how many we produced in it, all from noble pair? This verse I have talked, these are the verses I have discussed in this video. And He scattered through it beasts of all kind. We sent down rain from the sky, all from noble pair. And the earth we have spread it out and set there on mountains standing firm and grown there in every kind from attractive pairs. The Creator of the skies and lands, He has made for you pairs from among yourselves and pairs among cattle. By this means does He multiply you. There is nothing whatever like unto Him, and He is one that hears and sees. Glory to God who created all things that the earth produces, as well as their own kind, and things of which they have no knowledge, such as amoeba, bacteria, etc. From pairs, that is DNA double helix. That has created pairs in all things and has made for you sheep and cattle on which you ride. And it is He who spread out the land, and He set there on mountains standing firm and rivers. And of all fruits He made in it pairs too, double pollination. So in the Quran, pairs means DNA double helix. This is the DNA double helix. For precise knowledge of human evolution, life and afterlife, visit www.alqurantafsir.com and download free PDF of Scientific Tafsir of Al-Quran. In part 3 of 3, I have discussed resurrection. Please remember to visit www.alqurantafsir.com and download free PDF. I have made this video only to make you interested on my tafsir. I guarantee you that my tafsir will not bore you by repeating what you already know. It is what you may not know. And knowledge given in the Quran is absolute. It is not theory, it is absolute. It is God's saying. www.alqurantafsir. It is I, not Dowli. Thank you for watching.